The organizational line technique is where you draw many lines to establish the size and placement relationships between parts of an object or between multiple objects. When you're doing this, you want to start by drawing lightly and using light pressure and avoid erasing anything. As you do this, some of the things you can do are extend the edges of one object out until it hits another object. And that'll help you see what's higher on the page or what's lower on a page. You can also draw horizontal lines out from the bottom or tops of objects to see where they hit on other objects. So for example, what I'm doing with the grapefruit and the spoon. So I'm making comparisons between the two. Another thing you can do is draw the center line through symmetrical objects, like I'm doing with the glass here to help keep it symmetrical. You want to avoid erasing anything because mistakes are a good thing. They help you see then where to draw the next line more correctly. You want to use lots of lines to draw this, so use many lines as needed and then keep correcting size and placements relationships as you go. So as you work your way through objects, and I would avoid doing details at first. I would kind of draw each object simply and establish those relationships. And as you go, you'll start to see where maybe there are some mistakes in the size of one object compared to another object, or the placement of one object compared to another object, and then you want to correct as you go. So I like thinking of this as kind of like you're connecting spider webs between all the objects, and those spider webs help you to kind of realize where things should be placed. So you're just kind of noticing all those little connections and relationships, what's higher on the page, what's lower on the page, what's farther to the left, what's farther to the right as you go. Don't erase your lines. Allow your lines to stay, and that way you can kind of build up and see the drawing progress. It's just as you start refining the edges more, you can just darken your lines. You can just draw over top with slightly darker lines. So here you're seeing I'm drawing like the center line through the top of the olive oil bottle to help keep it symmetrical. With the spoon, I'm drawing multiple diagonal lines here. To start establishing the thickness of the spoon and the angle of it. And then this spoon, the handle kind of curves ever so slightly. It's slightly thicker in the middle and thinner on both edges. So after I draw those original lines, then I can go back and get those kind of curves in a little bit. I'm also drawing the center line through to help me keep it symmetrical. I'm drawing some angled lines here to kind of show how it tilts back into perspective a little bit. I had a professor that called this technique kind of a searching line technique because you're drawing many lines as you start to search for the correct lines and the correct placement of things. And so here again with the pepper shaker, I'm just comparing it. How does the height of the pepper shaker compared to the height of the olive oil bottle? How do the edges, the right and left edges of the pepper shaker line up with the edges of the spoon? And again, you can start lightly and then later on go back and darken the lines as you start to get, as you start to refine those edges. And then last I am adding in some cast shadows here on the ground.